What's up guys, Diggy here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So today I want to show you the Magicka Dragonknight PVE build update for the Clockwork City DLC. And quite a few people have requested the Magicka Dragonknight build, which is interesting for me personally because Magicka Dragonknight is not like a class that people like to see in proper trials guilds or trials groups. Because of like the risk of like taking away off balance, a debuff that is necessary for the whole group, and like everyone will do less DPS if you use that whip. And also it's a melee class. If you want to play the Magicka Dragonknight properly and do good damage, you have to stand close to the boss. Then you have to always consider, like, is it worth running a Magicka Dragonknight compared to a Stamina Dragonknight? The Stamina Dragonknight will probably do like 10-15k more single target DPS in the raid. And yeah, should you run Magicka or Stamina? Usually the answer is Stamina. That's why I also didn't do an update for the class last patch. Anyway, I want to show you basically what I currently run, of course with buff food active. So these are my current stats. Really low Magicka recovery. We are a Dark Elf, of course, using 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium. Sitting just above 43k Magicka, just above 17k health, which is fine. Currently I have the Lover Stone. Basically I have that for the Neo trial to get a little bit more penetration. You should run the Apprentice Stone. But you should always, like, I will say that here in the beginning now, you should always sit down with your team and add up all the penetration debuffs that you have on the boss. Like Crusher enchantments, the regular Major Breach, Major Fracture debuff, your usual, like, 100 base penetration and 4884 penetration from the Light Armor passive and stuff like that. That's like what you have. And then of course, like Crusher, is it infused, you have a Torx Pack Crusher, which adds another 2.7k penetration. You have Alkosh in the group, and then you have to distribute your CP accordingly, and then this will also like basically decide if you should use the Lover or not. Because we're lacking penetration, I used the Lover in the new trial. And that's also where I basically tested the Magicka Dragonknight. I didn't do as many tests as I did with the other classes, but I still think that the setup is pretty good. So I still hope you will enjoy it. We wear Grothdar as a monster set because there's basically no better set than Grothdar if you go melee. We also don't use Witch Mothers, Potent Brew. Like, you could run Witch Mothers for more recovery, but you don't need that if you have enough off balance. You can also use the new one, which is this one here. It gives you a little bit more health, a little bit more Magicka, and the same amount of mag recovery, and also some health recovery, which you don't need. Usually, like, you are a vampire. I'm not on this one because I was too lazy to get some extra skill points and actually level the vampire. But the Clockwork Citrus Fillet is actually like the new set above food you want to use, but it's expensive as hell. See, I only have 2 of them left, and they cost like around like 4.3k to 4.6k here on PC, because you need perfect row for this food, and you get that from the Clockwork City quest line. Anyway, with the off-balance whip, I have no issues sustaining, so I use Grothdar and max health and max Magicka food, and I also run a Burning Spellweave. As you can tell from the 5p set bonus, it has a 12-second cooldown. It can be active for 8 seconds. That means you have a maximum uptime of 66%. You will get at least 60% uptime, even though you, like I on this build, because I want to support the group more and provide more off balance and more minor vulnerability, I run Infuse on the front bar with a shock damage glyph and a lightning staff on the back bar. It's also like the best setup for self-buff DPS tests to get more damage, but I also run that in trials to just support the group a little bit more. So Burning Spellweave is one of the sets you can run. You could also run Silks of the Sun if you want to, though I recommend Burning Spellweave because it has more crit chance and you don't need the extra HP, to be honest. And it's also more damage. Then we run Moondancer, all spell damage enchantments, and the Moondancer Inferno Staff on the front bar. Like I said, you could also run Master Architect as a replacement. You could run Infallible Aether as a replacement. You could run Willpower if you're completely new on the Magicka, and run Julianus here because it's craftable, and run Random Staves. I myself decided to run a Lightning Staff of the Maelstrom Arena on the back bar in Infused, and we have to swap bars, of course, to always keep up duplicate. But that's actually a good thing because we can activate the Berserker enchantment quite often. Like, we should have at least around like a 50 to 55% uptime on this enchantment if we can properly do our rotation all the time. That's pretty nice. If someone else is giving you more off balance, of course, like if the healers, like if you have trials where the fight or the tactics are optimized, you can just run a Maelstrom Inferno Staff on the back bar. You don't need the Lightning Staff on the back bar. However, I decided to run with the Lightning Staff because in some situations, like I also played the Magicka in trials where like we stacked up adds and I had to heavy attack. Yeah, because Lightning Staff heavy attacks do AoE damage. I used it basically to get more AoE damage in the group and still like being able to stay in a safe distance. Yeah, you could of course run a Maelstrom Inferno Staff on the front bar. Yeah, and just go like with a Moondancer Lightning Staff on the back bar if you want to. But personally, I want to stick to that setup. I will show you like why you can swap that in a second when I get to skills. So that's basically it for gear. Let's get into skills. So like I said, or as you can see, I have a Crushing Shock here on the front bar. Reason for that is pretty simple. I want that passive of Ancient Knowledge. If I have a Destro ability slotted, Flame Staffs increase my damage done with single target abilities, like my whip, for example, by 8%, which is nice. I want that, so I need a Destruction Staff ability on the front bar. I decided to go with Crushing Shock because, like, I want to activate my Blockade on the back bar to activate my Maelstrom Staff all the time, or as much as possible. And like I said, you don't have to do that. In the new trial where I used this decay the past couple times, I need to interrupt at some points. Like the bosses will start to teleport and jump, and I won't be able to reach them with my whip. So I can just like go and attack from here and interrupt the bosses, which is really important. You really want to interrupt the bosses, or at least like the poison boss at sometimes. It doesn't matter if you do the main boss plus the poison boss. Because like you have to focus the mini boss at some points because the main boss will get protected by the little spheres, the protectors, and that's then at that point Crushing Shock comes in very handy. But if you don't need that, what you could do is just put Blockade of Storms on the front bar, run this on the back bar if you want to, or go with Analyte here. And then of course run the Maelstrom Staff on the front bar, like put the Maelstrom Staff here, the Inferno Staff of course, and run a Moondancer Lightning Staff here, or just run 2 Inferno Staves. It's up to you. What you could also do is use Elemental Rage as a Destruction Staff ability here. Drop Meteor because you don't need Meteor at all. Like the 2% extra max Magicka, something that you don't necessarily need. Could run your shield on the front bar, and then run it like this. It's also a possible way for a bar setup. Like I could run this on this setup and it would be totally fine. However, personally, I want to stick to this and keep my Crushing Shock. Now for the other skills, as you can see, like it's not leveled, so I'm losing a little bit of DPS here because I was too lazy. I only used the other morph. Flame Lash, if we attack an enemy that's set off balance, we get the Power Lash, and it deals additional damage and heals us, which is nice. But we also take away the debuff from the target, which is not that nice, to be honest. Anyway, then we have Engulfing Flames here. Affected enemies take 10% more damage from all fire damage attacks, which is good, because it increases basically all of our damage. The only non-fire damage that we have is the physical damage from the rearming trap and the lightning damage from the Blockade of Storms. However, if you run 2 Infernos, you'll have all fire damage basically, except for the trap. Then we have Burning Embers here, really good single target dot, and then we have Inner Light for more Magicka and Shooting Star for more Magicka. We barely use that ultimate. Then we have Standard of Might, increases our damage done and taken by 15%. Or decreases the damage taken. I'm sorry. It reduces the damage taken and increases the damage done. Then we have our shield here. Shouldn't need to explain that. Flames of Oblivion Eruption as a single target dot. Flames of Oblivion activates 4 times. Always keep that in mind. It activates when you activate it, and then after 5 seconds, after 10 seconds, and after 15 seconds. So 4 damage ticks in total. A lot of DPS from this ability. Then Rearming Trap for the Minor Force, 10% more crit damage, even if we have low crit chance, and then Blockade of Storms for our Maelstrom Staff, and for the AoE dot, of course. So those are the abilities. Now for the CP. I currently in the build tree have 37 to Elfborn because crit chance is low, 43 into Elemental Expert, and 35 into Spell Erosion, 14 to Monster at Arms, and 75 on Thaumaturge. Now I usually put 81 here for the jump point because you can see it's 23.4. We want to get to even numbers, 72, but then we don't get the Exploiter passive. It increases your damage done against off-balance enemies by 10%. Not good. So I decided to just go with the 75, and we have a lot of damage here from Master at Arms. If you, however, need a little bit more penetration, you can take some points out. Like you reduce this by 3%, it's not a lot, but you can put the points here, and then you're at 44 Spell Erosion. Spell Erosion, 44 points is the maximum that you should go with if you use the Apprentice. Like you don't need more if you use the Apprentice in a proper group, of course. If you pick the Lover, you might want to even take out some points and go as low as 10 points. But it depends if you have a Stamina Templar in the group or not. Like if you have a Stamina Templar in the group, you could actually take out all the points and just go with a Lover and distribute them among these here, however you like. Just try to hit even numbers. Focus a little bit more on Elemental Expert and Master at Arms, and it should be good to go. But I will just keep the 35 points here and keep the 40 here, because that gave me the best results with the Apprentice Motherstone, which I didn't use here, obviously. For the other champion points, I have 26 into Warlord, 75 Arcanist, 75 Tenacity, 28 into Tumbling, 26 into Shadow Ward. Of course, the 75 into Tenacity might be a little bit overkill because we barely do heavy attacks, but yeah. Can just like put them somewhere else if you want to. It's up to you. We have 27 into Quick Recovery, 49 Hardy, 49 L Defender, 40 Thick Skinned, 14 Spell Shield, and 51 Ironclad. So now for the rotation. How does the rotation work? It's pretty simple. When the fight starts, I cast my Flames of Oblivion. Then I put down my Eruption, my Trap, and Bar Swap. Okay, so Flames of Oblivion, Eruption, Trap, Bar Swap for the start of the fight. Then I cast my Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers into a Bar Swap. And then I recast or cast my Blockade of Storms. So what I always do, these 3 skills, I always cast them together, is Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Blockade of Storms. These 3 I always cast together. And I also always cast together Rearming Trap, Eruption, and Flames of Oblivion. I always cast these 3 together. So when when these 3 dots, Trap, Eruption, Flames of Oblivion, are currently running, and I just casted my blockade, what I do then is light attack and whipping 6 times. Then I cast again Flames of Oblivion, Engulfing Flames, sorry, Burning Embers, Blockade, and after that I cast these 3 dots. So Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Eruption into bar swap. Then again 3 times whip, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Blockade, and then 6 times whip, and then all 3 dots after another. And this might be a little bit too much for you to like really understand it. I will just try to show it to you. So before the start of the fight, I cast my Engulfing Flames. I'm sorry, my Flames of Oblivion, Eruption, Trap, bar swap. So this bar swap, light attack, engulfing, light attack, burning into bar swap, light attack, blockade into bar swap, and then I whip, light attack and whip 6 times. And now I recast my bots because they ran out. 1, 2, 3. Blockade, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I recast it because I used my my elemental drain, and that's pretty much it. That's rotation, and it's that simple. Really, really, really simple. Let's try to show it again on the skeleton. Just for like basically 2 more rotations, you can see it for yourselves. And I will just like use push so I don't run out as fast. So Flames of Oblivion, Eruption, Trap, bar swap, Engulfing, Burning Embers, bar swap, Blockade, bar swap. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Casting the back bar dots again. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Casting the back bar dots. And so on and so forth. It's pretty damn easy. I hope you understand it. For this rotation I could actually like write it down, but you saw it for yourself. You just have to remember the numbers 3 and 6, that's basically it. But you can also, now even constant, you can track your Engulfing Flames, your Burning Embers uptime, and after casting these 2, always make sure to cast your Blockade. That's pretty much it. You don't even have to count, just see, like, look at the number when it's about to run out. When this hits 1 second, you recast it. And then recast Burning Embers afterwards, and then Blockade of Storms. I will include a DPS test of me, which I did by myself, so a self-buffed one. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you don't want to miss any more ESO content, hit that like button, hit that sub button, sorry. I hope you will have a lot of fun with the build, and I also hope you will tune in next time. So I hope to see you there. Until then, bye bye.